Greetings, dear readers. Willkommen zurück auf meinem Kanal. Welcome back to my channel. I promised in my How I Got Into Metal video, link in the description, to talk about how I did not learn German. And here I am with this video. Throughout my life, I tried to learn French, Spanish, Japanese, German, and Finnish. The later two I still continue learning, although very slowly. Without further ado, let's get started. My story of not learning German dates back to the early 2000s. Wow, that was 20 years ago. Oh. It was time to me to go to school. There were two schools in my area, in Moscow. The one where they taught English and the one where they taught German. Since my parents, they didn't know German and they knew English a little bit, they decided to put me to school where they taught English. Looking back, I'm thankful that they put me into school where they taught English. If I had a choice, whether to learn English first or whether to learn German first, my choice would be English. You know, now when I think about it, on the other hand, if they put me into German school, I'd be speaking German right now. I think if I first learned German, then sooner or later I would have got to learn English. I think so. Well, I would be fluent in 4 languages today if I learned German first. Now let's go back to the video. Now, of course, everyone around me, my friends, my family, they all have their bias against the German language, and I don't agree with such bias. Moving on. A few years later, in 2005, when I was in the 5th grade, I was supposed to begin learning German. I was actually looking forward to learn it, but then when the schools had started, the lessons were missing, and then I asked, why aren't you teaching us German? And then I discovered that they haven't found the teacher. I think I was the only one who was upset about it, because I genuinely wanted to learn the language. Then came 2007. I moved from Russia to Georgia, and when the 7th grade started, I remember very well that on the very first day, our teacher came to us and said, from this year you are going to have a new subject, the German language. And I was like, hooray! During my first year, I was actually learning the language, and I got myself a dictionary and other books, and I was reading and blah 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 blah. But then as studies went on, various reasons led me to learning German less and less. First of all, I had private tutors in other subjects, like maths and English and Georgian, and I took them more seriously. And second reason, when I wasn't studying, I wanted to do other things. I wanted to watch films and TV, I wanted to hang out with my best friend, and I wanted to literally do nothing. Yeah, I was kinda lazy. Yeah, what a shame. Third factor was my teacher. Everything was fine at first. She was fond of us and we were fond of her, but then as time went on, she began giving everyone dvoikas. That's the Russian and Georgian equivalent of F's. She gave me dvoikas even when I was prepared, and to be honest, that discouraged me from learning German. And also the fact that random class drama happened on the German lessons also discouraged me from learning the language. Well, at least according to the school program. And the last reason I quit the language, in retrospect, I realized that the main reason I quit German was that you're going to laugh, but I'm going to say it. I couldn't handle the whole der, die, das thing. Well, These articles were so confusing to me. German articles made me remember my very first lesson with English private tutor. I remember that on the very first day when I went to her house, she taught me the, a, and n. And back then, they were so confusing to me. Now I think, little me, you are lucky you are learning English instead of German. Because there are only 3 articles. To be honest, I really hate the articles. I hate them in English too. I'm really glad that Russian and Georgian, they don't have articles. But compared to the German, the English articles seem to be completely non-existent. And I spoke way too much about school. And of course I encountered German outside school too. Well, I'm mostly encountered the music. Let's talk about the most famous German band everyone has heard at least once in their lives, especially if they're learning the language. You have probably heard that band too. Of course, I'm talking about Rammstein. As I mentioned in my How I Got Into Metal video, promised to talk about Rammstein a little more. I heard Rammstein in 2010 when I was still in school and I still had the German as a primary subject. My very first song by them was Sonne. At the beginning of the song you can hear counting from 1 to 10. However, the last one is actually a trap. 10 is 10 in German, while in the song instead of 10 you can hear auf. Many people who heard Rammstein later said that Rammstein inspired them to learn German. Good for them. For me it's total opposite. In fact, that Rammstein makes me glad that I did not learn German. But then I watched a live stream of a Blind Guardian concert. That one was in June 2022 Rock Hard Festival. That's how it was called. And then I felt otherwise. At least for a while. I might not be correct, but as far as I remember, one of them, probably their lead singer Till Lindemann, said that they sing in German because they don't sound good in English. Correct me if I'm wrong. Either way, Rammstein made me assume that the Germans sounded way bizarre when they spoke English, and I held that assumption for a few years. Until I discovered other bands and I heard them speak, not just sing. I tried to go back to Rammstein in 2013, but now I guess that the whole industrial metal / Neue Deutsche Harte isn't my thing. I'm not a fan. For a few songs, yes, but that's kinda all. I do have a Spotify playlist with songs in German though, and it involves a few industrial metal, aka Neue Deutsche Harte songs. Some of them did grow on me eventually, but they are still not my thing. One band that I do recommend is Die Groups. They are an industrial metal band, and in many ways they are better than Rammstein. I especially recommend the Machinists of Joy album. Die Machinisten der Freude. Apart from industrial metal, there are also other subgenres of rock as well. I do give Rammstein credit for teaching me a few words like spring, jump, Sonne, sun, wunderbar, wonderful, enttäuschen, disappoint, verdammen, condemn, and of course, du hast, you have. In 2012, I changed school and my days of learning German in school came to end. I had other subjects to study. I quit learning German and I switched to Finnish in 2013 because I was a die-hard Nightwish fan at the time. Now, of course, I'm not a die-hard Nightwish fan anymore. I'm still a fan, but just not a die-hard one. But the urge to learn Finnish, it remained, well, at least on a minimal level, to at least use some sentences. First of all, I like Finnish. It's a beautiful language and it makes me think of fairy tales and magic for some reason. Then learning languages in general is fun and beneficial, especially if you are a fantasy writer. Take a look at J.R.R. Tolkien. He was fluent in both German and Finnish, and he used his knowledge of both languages and other languages he knew to create languages of his own. Now, as a writer, I'm not like Tolkien at all, and I don't see myself inventing new languages. However, I can use particular words and sentences if I need to. I can invent new words or take the old ones from various languages and give them a new meaning. Wow, I have distracted myself from German. You might ask, why did you switch to Finnish when the main topic is German here? That's because Finnish is the reason I went back to learning German. Let me explain. I didn't start learning German again until December 2019. What happened then, you might ask? Did you discover a new band, you'd ask me? And my answer is no. I just got myself a new phone, the one I'm filming on. I was downloading random apps and I discovered Duolingo. I heard a lot about this app and I really wanted to try it. I really hoped that they would have Finnish, but it wasn't there at the time. Finnish came to Duolingo in summer 2020. And I decided to pick German, to test German on that app. I tried German on Duolingo and became addicted to that app. This is how I went back into learning German. And I'm thankful to Duolingo that it helped me solve the article problem. I chose German on Duolingo because I had been learning it in the past and I understood some sentences. German and English, they came from the same language family. Now, sure that German and English are different languages, you can tell one from the other, but there are similarities, at least a few of them. If you understand English, then German might be one of the easiest languages for you to get into. Well, at least it was for me. Now, of course, Duolingo wasn't my only tool to learn German. I got myself this lovely book. This is a collection of German jokes by Ilya Frank. And one joke was really funny. I'm going to read it. Oh my gosh, me reading in German is a complete embarrassment. Wie heißt du denn, mein Junge? Will der Arzt wissen. Hans Müller, Doktor. Ich bin es gewohnt, dass man Herr sagt. Na, meinetwegen. Herr Hans Müller, Doktor. And this was one of the funniest. Oh, and also this one. Mutti. Wie lange bist du schon mit Vati verheiratet? 10 Jahre, mein Kind. Und wie lange musst du noch? Yeah, some funny jokes in this one. Then I got myself this textbook. I deliberately choose the one where with learning German from Georgian perspective. Here's my notebook where I do exercises. Let me show you. I do various exercises. I still do them. Oh, and here, I really hope you can see it. I also find the lyrics to Rammstein's Sonne. Here's the original German lyrics, and this is the Georgian translation. I also love to show this Shrek the Third novelization. It's called novelization, right? My childhood friend went to Germany back in 2008 and brought this to me. Unfortunately, I don't know German that well to read this. It's very sad. I hope I shall read it. I'll be able to read this one day. Then in summer 2020, when I was going through my TV, which happens rarely because I go to YouTube right away when I turn my TV, I heard German speech and I decided to stop and listen. That channel had a DW logo, and a few minutes later I took my phone to find information on that channel and found out that this channel was called Deutsche Welle, which stands for German Wave. I really like Deutsche Welle. It's a great channel, I think. My favorite part about Deutsche Welle is watching with some documentaries on some European cities. I really like looking at them. And I like hearing Germans speak their own language. To be honest, I don't understand the majority of things which are being said on Deutsche Welle. But it's part of the charm for me. It reminds me of my childhood days when I was watching Cartoon Network in English. I was around 7 or 8 or 9 years old and I did not know English that well. I was learning it. I will make a separate video on how I became fluent in English. I really like the German language. I like to hear Germans speak it. At first, originally, I only enjoyed hearing Germans speak English because I thought they had fun accents. Yes, says someone with an accent. Yes, I know. But I enjoy hearing them speak German too. A few things I want to say about the accent. Yes, because that's something that has been on my mind for nearly 2 years. This is something I really want to mention. I really like hearing German accent because I think it's fun. It's really cute. There was a time when I was after videos of random Germans speaking the language, but then I decided I could simply listen to audio interviews with various German people. A few hours before filming this video, I finished listening to one podcast with a guy from a German band that I don't listen to at all, well, apart from one album. I heard this guy's name, but I've never heard him speak until that podcast, and his accent was there. Yes, I listened to the podcast because I knew he was German and he had an accent. Yes, I wanted to hear the accent. Of course, not all Germans have a noticeable accent. I personally met 2 Germans who had almost no accent, and because of that I assumed that they were American. But I'd rather speak about those with an accent. Now let's go back to Deutsche Welle. I found out that there's one app called Deutsche Welle Learn German. It's a very good app with tests for learners for different levels, from A1 to C2. I took a test and your knowledge test on that app, and I found out that I was on A2 level. On Deutsche Welle Learn German, you watch short clips of the show called Nico's Weg. You watch these clips multiple times and then you go through tests. Deutsche Welle Learn German is a very good app, but I haven't checked it in a long time. I need to go back to it. Then I found this book in the shop. It was very thin and this is called Der Zwergnase, or yes, Der Zwergnase, this is how it's called. This was very cheap, that's how I got it. In highlights of my Instagram stories, there's a video clip of me reading this, and it's absolutely terrible. I was at my friend's house and she decided to record me reading this, and it makes me cringe. Yeah, I know. This video makes me cringe and I uploaded it on the internet anyway. Yeah, logic. And finally I got myself the short stories in German. I read the very first short story without a translator and understood most of what was being said here. Right now you might ask, you had all the resources in the world, why you still haven't learned German? Well, because I'm a very slow learner. I am either too busy or too lazy or do things very slowly. Maybe one day I will be fluent enough to watch Dark or read Faust in German. I shall wait and see. Someone on the internet compared the German language to death metal. I'm not joking. The languages were being compared to music, and German was death metal. I disagree about that. I think German is like a good pop song. Not the annoying pop songs. It's very catchy, and it's everywhere. Since we are comparing languages to music, and especially to metal, then I think Russian would be metal, because it's very epic and powerful. And now you might ask, did you decide to learn German because of the bands? The answer is no. Finnish I wanted to learn because I was a fan of a Finnish band, yes, but it didn't work the same way with German. First of all, there was a long history of me trying to learn German, and that was way before all the bands. Am I going to continue learning German? Yes. Am I going to use the language as an inspiration for my novels? Well, yes, if a novel demands it. And that's it. This is how I did not learn German, or to be exact, why I'm still not fluent in German yet. I have everything ahead of me. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. See you next time. Goodbye.